Okay, everyone, we really need to talk about Destiny, or more specifically, what on earth is going on over at Bungie. I mean, seriously, what is happening? To say the last year or so has been a buggy one would be an understatement, but for this week especially, the game has been barely functional for some, with consistent server issues, bugs, and other technical issues on a seemingly daily basis. The servers are shitting themselves regularly now, and every update seems to create a dozen new bugs. These base level issues should take priority above anything else, period. But what do we get? Bungie decides to nerf Strand grapple builds, which is just a weird choice anyway. Are there broken builds in the game? Yes, absolutely. Were Strand grapple builds one of them? Absolutely not. And that's the other thing. Why so many just odd choices? Why nerf the Ikelos and Teraba but leave the Immortal, which is easily stronger than Ikelos and arguably stronger than Teraba, completely untouched? That cannot be anything other than utter incompetence because it literally makes no sense whatsoever. What about increasing the difficulty of base level activities? Literally none of us were asking for that. We were asking for endgame content to be harder, not our regular strikes and other similar activities. Why on earth were Lake of Shadows and Arms Dealer reworked? They were fine as they were, and now they're just a slog, and I have to wonder, wouldn't it make more sense to have left them as is and maybe put that effort into, I don't know, maybe a brand new strike? Because the current strike rotation is stale, and we only got one new strike with Lightfall. What was the point of spending all this time doubling down and tripling down on SBMM and Quick Play, our casual mode, and then introducing a CBMM playlist? It sounds great on the surface, but can we really trust Bungie at this point? Because my concern is that they created this playlist which consists of a rotator with Zone Control, Clash, and Rift. None of which are as well liked as just normal control, and Rift is outright hated by most players in 6v6. What if after this playlist has been around for a while, we get a TWAB with one of those little graphs Bungie loves so much, and it shows that the CBMM playlist has a lower player count, and they use that as an excuse to say, see, SBMM is more popular, when in reality it's going to have a lower player count anyway because 1, rotators don't get as much attention as the core modes anyway, and 2, it consists of 3 modes that most people just do not like as much as Control, with no doubt a particularly lower player count during weeks where Rift is up. How do we know they're being honest with us? Because the PvP community has zero reason to trust Bungie anymore. For that matter, what about the narrative? Bungie has said that they want people to be able to experience the Light and Dark saga in full. But the Red War, Curse of Osiris, Warmind, and Forsaken are still vaulted, with Bungie never mentioning any plans to undo this, if they even can, with how much the game is already struggling just to function at a base level. Plus, Cade is dead, Amanda is now dead, new players have no way to access even just the story missions from old seasons, and with all of our old content vaulted, new lights are going to be completely lost and have no fucking idea what's going on in the narrative. This is to mention nothing of the fact that Destiny 1 is last gen with no PC port. What about everything that happened there? We do not even have a place with a recap cutscene or anything like that. The game feels completely directionless. We have no idea where it's going up until final shape, let alone what might come after. We need an explanation. Hell, we're owed that. We need a long, and I mean a long, TWAB with a roadmap and at least a base level explanation on where the game is going and what Bungie's plans for it are. Mainly so that those of us who have been here for years now can decide if Destiny is even going to continue to be worth our time or not. We also deserve to know why on earth there have been so many issues over the last year. Is it purely technical limitations? Are Bungie's other IPs taking resources away from Destiny? What is going on here? This constant talk of big things to come, while the sandbox continues to get worse and worse and worse, has to stop. They are dangling a carrot in front of us so that we keep playing even though things continue to degrade. Destiny has so much potential. It always has, both PvE and PvP, and it's being squandered. PvE is getting stale. The new mod system was questionable anyway, and they continue to make build crafting less viable in PvE. Maybe this is because PvE has gotten too easy because, well, it has, But the solution there is to make endgame PvE content harder, not nerf the player. Enemy AI is brain dead, the strike rotation is stale, we desperately need another core PvE activity in the Vanguard playlist that isn't just strikes. Plus, the PvE meta has gotten incredibly stale. You cannot tell me that having the same strategy of standing still in a well, launching rockets and tossing grenades at mostly weak bosses in nearly every raid we have hasn't gotten insanely boring. That's to mention nothing of the gross mismanagement of PvP. The list of issues in PvP gets bigger every season. Hell, it gets bigger every season, and the amount of time Bungie takes to address these issues is completely unacceptable. We were stuck in a no time to explain meta for nearly a year. Ability spam continues to be a problem after nearly a year. AE still feels like shit. And the Immortal isn't going to be touched until next season, which means we still have around a month until that's dealt with, and that's assuming it's dealt with right at the start. Plus, Bungie has to stop this bullshit of nerfing things based purely on the number of people using it. I could have told you Teraba was going to be a problem months ago. I'm telling you now that we're headed on a path of Lemonarch also becoming a huge problem. It's already showed its ugly head in the Trials meta, and I can promise you at some point it's going to become a massive issue. And I could go on about this sort of thing as well. Plus, we've gotten hardly any maps, we're only getting 3 this year, and 2 of them are just maps that were vaulted. The comp rework has been pathetic at best, and in PvP's current state, there's no point in even having a competitive mode. Destiny has the movement and the gunplay for a good competitive experience, but it's completely overshadowed by the abundance of broken abilities, broken exotics, and broken weapons. I mean, Jesus Christ, I could do an hours-long video talking about PvP, but I don't want to, so moving on. I already talked about the narrative issues, but we also have no idea what's coming after Final Shape. I'm not asking for story details or anything of that sort. What I do want to know are things like, are we getting a Destiny 3? Or is Destiny 2 going to continue on with a new story arc? If so, are we getting any new upgrades or fixes to ensure the game can handle the current content load on top of a new story? That sort of thing is what I'm looking for. These issues are all incredibly frustrating, and we need to know if Bungie is still committed to Destiny or if it's taken a back seat, and if so, why? I don't like being negative. I don't want to just sit here and shit on Bungie, but things aren't getting better. But that's all for me today, Guardians. Honestly, with the game where it is right now, I could go on about these issues for hours and hours, but I won't. I just hope things get better, but as it stands right now, I have no reason to believe they will anytime soon. Thank you all for watching. I apologize for how ranty this video was, but I just needed to vent for a while. I love Destiny, I've been playing it for nearly a decade, and I want to see it get better. Do me a favor, leave me a like, and don't forget to subscribe with the bell icon. It really does help me out. Leave me your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you all have to say because I just don't know what to think anymore. For now, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.